as we are waiting for everyone to join, once again, the title of our webinar that we are hosting today is How Clips Can Make Your User Testing Work. We hope that this webinar is very much granular for everyone that's joining us as we talk about clips. Obviously, clips, if you are aware, is something brand new that we've recently released here at Userbrain. We're very excited about it. We'd love to hear your feedback on it, your questions, your responses. And part of that is within our presentation, showing you exactly what everything is involved with clips. And at the end of this webinar, we are doing a live Q&A. So if you can, during any moment of the presentation, feel free to just hit that questions tab, drop in a question, say what's on your mind, what you're thinking about. It could even just be something off the wall, just something spontaneous that you have for us. We'd love to get your feedback on it. We'd love to answer any questions. Obviously, at the end of like I mentioned, at the end of the webinar, we are having that live Q&A. Here on this platform, Livestream, we do have the option to invite some of you who are on the webinar watching us live to join us on stage. So if you do have a very interesting question, and maybe perhaps as we answer the question, we might ask you if you'd like to join us live on the stage. It would mean that you'd probably turn on your camera, turn on your microphone, so that we can have an open discussion, maybe get some more information. Just be aware, we may ask you that if you'd like, and if you are consentful to that, we'd love to see it, because we do want this to be a good one-on-one when there is a good question coming through to us. Hi, Paula. Thank you for joining us. Hi there, Lister. You asked, will the recording session be shared afterwards? Yes. Thank you for reminding me of that. So everyone who is here live, as soon as this webinar is finished, will be emailed with a link to the entire raw recording of this webinar. We obviously will have a recording, and we will use this recording to publish, like, for example, on our YouTube page and for other marketing opportunities, so that it is made public to everyone. But if you are here with us and you do have to drop off for an important business call or something else that comes up unexpectedly, please be aware that the full recording will be emailed to you, so no need to worry about that. Hey there, Dominic. Great to see you there. Great to see you too. All right, so Userbrain. Talking about Userbrain, what is Userbrain? Who are we? Userbrain is a company that we've made, and we are here to provide user testing for you. Now, user testing can in many senses be a difficult subject to cover. And how are we approaching this? Well, we want it to be easy. We want it to be fast. We want it to be affordable. We know that user testing is a process that has to be within your creation arc when building websites, building products. And we want this to be easy for you. So, for example, really quick onboard times, really easy features that make this user testing to be easy for you. So as you can see on the screen, who are we? Once again, I'm Jonathan McCollough. I'm head of customer success here at Userbrain. Just in a few more months, I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary here at Userbrain. And something that I'm so enthralled with is having this one-on-one direct conversation with our customer base and everyone who uses our user testing tool. I love to see when customers make use of the many features that we provide, making their lives easier and making their workflow easier. So I started initially in customer support. If you did contact us through support previously, hello, it was probably me. I'm now in success. So if you do reach out to us at success@Userbrain, I'm there. And any questions that come up, you're more than welcome to email me. We can always jump on a call at a later date. So that's a little bit about me and what I love doing here. Joining me is Stefan Rössler. He is our co-founder for Userbrain and head of product. He's so very much into what he does. We're going to hear in just a little bit more about him, his background, what he likes to do, and what he's excited about that's coming up. So I'd love to turn the microphone over to you, Stefan. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jonathan. I think you did a brilliant job there with the whole introduction. And it's my first time being on a webinar, so I'm a bit nervous actually, especially because of the technical challenges. Because right now, what I'm seeing is the slide who we are. I see my picture and I see Jonathan's picture. I don't see anything that's going on there. And I'm just saying this as a bit of a disclaimer also for you, Jonathan, to know. So if anyone has any questions or is anything that happens spontaneously, that Jonathan will be on the radar, so to speak, and watch what's happening there and then respond to this. And please just interrupt me anytime. It's weird still in 2024 somehow to have online webinars like this. It will feel very natural in a couple of minutes once we're getting into, we're all used to it already. But it's something else being in the same room together and looking at each other's faces and also getting some nonverbal cues and just reading a situation, reading a room and everything. So I just want you to know I'm not doing any of this right now. All I see is are the slides that I have prepared or that we have prepared for today, and we hope it's going to be an interesting session for all of you. The first thing maybe I want to start with is we just realized earlier today when we're preparing this that maybe the title for this webinar was not very, very smart. Because we're focusing so much on clips, which is a feature within Userbrain, and we're not really giving you the actual customer value. We're doing it a little bit. We say, we make clips can make your user testing work. So there's a little bit of this in it, but it's actually not a very clickbaity kind of title for the webinar, which might be all right. Who knows? But I just realized this, and the thing is that we're really passionate about our product and believe in its value, and we're actually the people working on this. We're a small team and very hands-on, and yeah, so sometimes we kind of lose the bigger picture of, well, actually we should try to sell the webinar and just go down in the mode, well, it's actually about clips, let's talk about clips a little bit. So anyway, but one thing that I noticed in preparation for this webinar today is that I did my first usability or user test back in 2006 and in university while studying information design in Graz at the FH. And it's crazy, it's 18 years ago. So I don't know, when I was 18, it felt like, I don't even know what to say about this. So that's just something I thought was interesting to point out. And since then, interested in user testing, interested in usability, the whole idea of, well, yeah, certainly there's development to it and there's design and there are all these sorts of aspects, but it seems to me that this field that we're in is really concerned about improving people's lives. And that's always been a huge motivation, because if you have something like a very big motivation in the background, that keeps you going for a long time. And yeah, it's 18 years already, which is quite a long time. And I still feel very excited about the whole thing. And yeah, there's a few things I could say about myself just very quickly. I was a terrible student actually, and it's a bit ironic because I'm teaching in university for 15 years already, things like user experience and usability, and we're working in a consulting business that we started during university. 4 colleagues, so 3 colleagues and I, it's Andy, Marcus, and Matthias, and it's still the 4 founders. We started a consulting business at first. We're working, doing user tests for clients and so on and so forth. And then in 2014, we launched our first version of Userbrain. And that's already 10 years ago, which is also kind of insane. Yeah, but anyway, that's just a little bit of background, and I don't want to dive into that too deeply, because what we really want to talk about today is actually clips. It is this new feature that we just launched because we're very excited about it. So, and the whole webinar is going to be 3 parts, where the first part is going to be a little bit of an introduction of why we think clips are actually, they have the potential to be a real game changer to user testing in our mind, especially the way we envision them and the way we put them in the product. Then we're going to give you a short demo about how clips work, so you get a bit of an understanding. And then that should be the biggest part actually, is this interactive Q&A. So hopefully if you listening to the webinar, whatever, you have some questions on your mind. Ideally, we kind of get past this hurdle of the interactive, being there on the computer and have a really good conversation. Also during the interactive Q&A, I'll be able to close the presentation and actually, I don't know, see people if you come on the stage, whatever happens there, but that's going to be this interactive Q&A. Okay, so then start with why clips. And I want to start with this premise that we kind of came up with a couple of weeks ago as we were thinking about clips. And this is that clips could be as important to Userbrain as this duck shape is to the world's most famous toilet cleaner. And I don't know, it's a funny image in my mind, but there's a bit of a story there. So I have this toilet duck at home, and I just realized how much better it is than the other toilet cleaner than I used before. And so I just realized it's such a simple product and it's working so well. And I'm fascinated about this, simple products that really get the job done. And Userbrain is in the realm of these kind of products. And that's really what we're interested in. And particularly this new clips feature, it can be this duck shape in a sense that when, I have a few notes here about the toilet duck. When it was invented in 1980 by Walter Dühring, he was actually trying to create a more effective and convenient toilet bowl cleaner, which is in a way what we're trying to do here. We're trying to develop a more effective and convenient way of doing user testing, because we really believe in it. User testing is just, I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, the most effective way of actually improving your product. And it's not even our, it's not because of us, it's not because of Userbrain, it's just user testing is that effective, and we're just trying to give you a very simple tool to get that done. And as, like with the duck, it's known for its efficiency. It's saying here in cleaning hard to reach areas, and that's the point that I'm trying to make actually. Very often, your reports and presentations won't get heard by people because they're completely overwhelmed. We're going to talk about this in a minute. And what you really want to do is reach the people that are hard to reach, which is usually the product team, developers who are working on it, because they are full-time working on a product. So they have a very limited attention span and time span, and not a lot of time to, listen to lengthy reports or anything. So like the toilet duck, it's designed to better reach under the rim of the toilet bowl. And in our case, we designed clips in a way that you can actually reach these people in an easy and convenient way to really get work done. Okay. And the thing is that I want to say here, user testing is dirty work, but clips might just be enough to get the job done. And what I'm thinking is, with user testing as dirty work, there are many aspects to it, in a sense that you get a lot of feedback that might be negative and you don't want to hear it. But it might also be dirty because you have a lot of stakeholders to deal with. And I don't know, this one stakeholder from marketing wants to ask a question about something that's really not something you want to ask in a user test. So you kind of need to make it work somehow. It's a lot of improvisation going on. But then, especially when it comes to analyzing your results, it's like you almost feel drowned in data. You get, maybe hours of content that you need to watch, and you need to get out the good bits and somehow get them to the people. And that is a dirty work, and clips might just be enough to get the job done, as in getting the job done. And as the title suggests in this webinar, how clips can make your user testing work, I want to say, to make user testing work, you don't need to focus on making the nice presentation or the nice report. That's not the job. The job is not to present your results. It's just not. It's a part of the whole process. The job is to actually do the job, which is, if you find a problem for someone, to actually fix the issue. It's not to have another meeting where you discuss the issue. It's not another list of problems we've discovered. Product teams already have extensive lists of problems that they need to tackle. So it's not about this, at least in my mind. User testing works when you actually improve a product. Otherwise, it's not really doing much for you. The product might be a prototype, so it doesn't have to be a live website. But anyway, so that's what clips are good for. And they might just be enough. And I'm showing you a quick screenshot there. This is where we have clips currently in our application. So if you're familiar with Userbrain, you will know this screen. This is the test view. So we're in this Userbrain homepage test that I did a week ago or something. And you can see there's the dashboard over there. So that's pretty much, where you go and you see all your tests. It's very simple list of all the tests here in the test. And then you can see there's this new tab right in the middle now between the testers and the report, and that's called clips. The way it works in detail is what I'm going to show you now in the second part of the webinar, which is this demonstration. So let's go one step further. This is one thing that I want to show you, or a point I want to make, just so you get a little bit of a background also about us as a team and how we work. And this is something I very strongly believe, that most software just takes itself too seriously. And it's just, every software tries to replicate things that other tools already did. Like, for example, you have a chat tool pretty much in every software, and you have it there. And it's the same thing everywhere. So you don't even know anymore where do you even need to send a message, because every tool, every software demands you to do it. And they're also taking themselves too seriously, in a sense, like, and we're guilty of this too. Like, for example, we have a report feature already in Userbrain before we even worked on the clip feature, which now in retrospect seems almost a little bit stupid in a way, because this report is something, if you really want to study the results, the report is great. You can spend an hour with it, going through it, look at all the notes, look at all the details that you find there. And it's very, it's a very nice way of getting an overview of your test results. But most people don't want to spend half an hour analyzing your results. They're not interested in all of this. So that's something that we want to tackle there. And what we really want to do is, and that's something, really taking the software itself very seriously, not creating software that takes itself too serious or what it does, but we are very serious about software, in a sense that we're very, and I use this as a badge of honor, actually. We are nerds and geeks, actually. We talk about product so much, and in a level of detail, how we want to have this, I don't know, on the third sub page somewhere, there's an icon, it has a title tag, and what words are we going to use in this title tag, and those sorts of things. We get really obsessive about them, and we really care about these sorts of things. And I'm saying this also to kind of reassure you, don't worry, we have a report. It's there. You can look at your test results, you see success rates and so on and so forth. You can look at, for example, if you have rating scales in your test, you can see all of that. And as you see on the screen, there are AI notes that are automatically created for you with hashtags and with everything. So you can kind of, you can see all of this is here. You can work with this. And also mentioning AI, if you look at the detail view, like that's a user test. That's the view where you go when you analyze the test. You can see before you even start doing anything, you can already ask the AI to create some notes for you. It goes through the transcript, it goes through the test, it analyzes the video, and then it gives you those insights, those observations. And yeah, you can see the hashtags and everything there. And then I just want to mention quickly before we move on to the clips, this note-taking feature that we have there is also something we completely redesigned in the last couple of months, because obviously, we're not just interested in user testing, we're really committed to, that's the bottom line of what we want to do. We want to improve people's lives. That's the idea. So we're certainly not saving the world over here at Userbrain, but we're trying to do something good. And something that we learned is that we really need to talk to customers. We really need to engage with them. That's something we also did in our consulting business back in the day. So we talked to customers and we realized, well, note taking and creating clips is something very different. Like my initial idea of clips was like, well, we just take notes. They have this timestamp there, and we add an end timestamp, and then we have clips, and that's everything, And then we learned from customers when talking to them where someone said something like, well, I just hope when you come up with clips that you don't force me to make notes that have an end timestamp, because that's not how I'm taking notes. The way I'm taking notes is I just want to type, I hit enter. I don't really care about the timestamp too much. Please don't make me add an end timestamp. So we realized, so notes and clips are something really distinctive. They are different. They are, there's different use cases. So the way we did it with notes is like, as you can see here, you can type in, as you type, the timestamp is automatically set, in this case, to 13 seconds. You can unset it, set it again. You can change it there. But really just type in, hit enter, tuck, and your note is already there. You can see it on top of the list. It's in the timeline, so you don't lose it. And that's something that that we wanted to keep. So to make a long story short, I'm sorry if I'm rambling a little bit. So I want to try to be more concise from now on. We realized adding clips is something different than the notes that we already have. Note taking has to be quick. It has to be easy. You just use your keyboard, hit enter, and it's done. And making clips is something else. Okay, so let's continue. with this idea of less and easy. And it's something, I don't know, we coined the term or this expression just a couple of weeks ago, and it's obviously heavily inspired by people like Dieter Rams, who I'm a big fan of, with his less but better philosophy that they had at Brown back in the day when they did the product designs there. And I just get a lot of inspiration out of these thinkers and inventors in a way. And the way it works for us, and that I think that's something that's important to keep in mind when we're looking at Userbrain, is we want to focus on building less. So ideally as little as possible, no more. I mean, that's kind of like not really possible in reality, but you're trying to make less. And what's still there, you try to make it easy. So that's everything. And the good thing about it is if there's less of something, it is already kind of easy. So we're off to a good start. And that's really became a bit of a mantra in my mind that I'm, using on other projects as well. And we have it in there for the notes. And now I'm going to show you it's the same that we try to apply for clips. So if you are on this view, we're still on the analyzing test view. You see we changed now from note to clip in the bottom corner there. And then what's the easiest way to create a clip? That's something that we were asking ourselves, because very often you're watching a user test video, something very interesting is happening, but you don't really want to fiddle around with some controls and set the exact timestamp. So, and those are tiny things. And I know some people might even think like, well, really, you're just trying to sell us a clips feature now, and you're selling it with so much hyperbole, like hyperbole, that's I think the word. So, and yes, I am doing it because I think it's that important, because if you have any friction in your tool, people are going to use it less. And if they're using it less, obviously going to get less value out of it also. So what's the easiest way to create a clip? You just click the button, create a clip. And what happens? There's a clip added. It didn't need a description. You didn't need to do anything. And automatically it starts 15 seconds before you hit the button and 15 seconds after you hit the button. So whenever you find something interesting, you don't even need to hit it exactly. If you heard something 10 seconds ago in a user test and you're just coming back from a different browser tab, for example, because you're in there, just go in, click create a clip, and this marker is kind of set there. And this is something that you can work with later. You can obviously edit it, or you can do something with it. Or what we just realized analyzing, the first few usage data that we get from customers now is that about a third of our customers are using empty clips actually. So they don't even need descriptions. They're really just trying to get the short clip video. So that's interesting to see and good also to know that, well, we could have done it in a way where we demand a clip needs a description. It has to have a start time. It has to have an end time. Very dogmatic about this. If you don't have that, you can't create a clip. But then what would happen? You won't create clips. And if you're familiar with other user testing tools, or similar software applications, you're probably aware of this issue. So in this case, we don't demand anything. It's a click of a button, you have a clip. Okay. Of course, you can also, add a description there. And unlike with notes, where with notes, once you start typing, the timestamp is set. So like that's annotated note taking. With clips, it's like you just start typing, the time's still running there. And then you can manually say, well, I want to click on start now. This sets the start time. And then the video plays in the background, you're listening to it, and so like, okay, maybe you look at the transcript and say, well, that's the point where, that's how long I want to have my clip. Then you set the end timestamp, create the clip, and it's there. What's interesting about this is we were firstly thinking obviously about, a timeline solution where you have some visuals where you can see on your timeline certain things, where's a clip and you can drag and drop it there. And we might do things like this in the future. That's actually up to you. That's up to, your feedback and how you are all using it, and obviously also how we're using it, because we're very heavy users of Userbrain as well. So that might change in the future, but we saw like that's a simple solution and we can go with it for now. You just have to text start time, end time, create a clip, it's there. Obviously you can edit the clip, play around, change the time, you save the clip, and then the clip is saved, and that's everything. Now, the next thing I want to show you here quickly is what can you do with clips? So of course you can delete it, you can edit it, but what's really interesting about clips is sharing it, because that's the whole idea. I try not to repeat myself anymore, but again, that's why we think clips are so important, because they actually get the information that's important and relevant to the people who actually need it. So that's the sharing. Before we look into that in more detail, I'm just going to show you quickly what happens with clips. So if you create the clips analyzing all your different user tests. You can see the clips here in a list. And then in this case, for example, I used a few hashtags also. And what I can do here is I have these filters on top where, for example, there's a special task that I'm very interested in, where there are, some clips that I might want to share with people. Or in this case, for example, text. So what I did there is, open the filter and I looked at all the text that are kind of negative, like user frustration, user confusion, usability issue, and just filtered those. So I see like a list of all the problems that I found, a list of all the problems that I find worth being shared with people. So that's already kind of a useful feature there. And what's nice about this is you can see if you look at the address field in your browser, you can see that the URL has actually changed based on your filters. So here you can see text, user frustration, it's all set in the filter, which is very convenient because now I can just take this link and just share it with my team already or with someone who's with me in this account, and they can see the exact filter and I can pinpoint them to a page. It's a very tiny thing. It's a very, very tiny thing. But something that we thought like that's important already in version 1. So we don't have a visual drag and drop to create your clips and to just start and end time, although that would be obvious to many people maybe. We didn't need that. But we thought like, if we have these filters there, we need to have the filters also in the URL so you can actually share it with your team. Another thing here, for example, I set the filter for this confirmation email issue, because here what we do is a Userbrain homepage test. We actually started it last week because I think as every other product team on this planet, and I think it's not an exaggeration if I say it like this, but I'm open to your feedback, obviously. But I think the issue we all have is we're completely overwhelmed. We're drowning in data. It's like there's 10 million things we should be doing. We know that there's so many issues and problems. We don't know where to start. And an assumption that we had last week in a meeting when we were sitting together. So we meet once a week, the 4 co-founders, and we discuss, the product, we discuss the whole company, and some also philosophical things in regards to what we're doing there at work. And one thing that we realized is, well, many people are not doing user testing because they say, it's enough already. I don't need even more insights. Please stop it. Please stop me overwhelming me with information. So now our assumption is actually, you know what? If you do Userbrain tests, you have our pool of testers obviously there. I don't know if we've mentioned already or if you're all familiar with this, but we have a pool of about 120,000 testers at the moment worldwide. So you can test with them. And if those people are doing these tests and running into issues, you can be sure that, well, those are the major issues, That's a big problem because this person is actually capable of recording their own screen and thinking out loud while they're doing a user test. If there's 2 or 3 of them having issues with our homepage, that's the problem we should focus on first, not all the other things. So we're using Userbrain in a way where we're trying to, leverage it as a way to actually tell us what matters, because that's what I find we really want to do, because there's too much noise already anyway. So that's how we're using this. So that's why I did this homepage test there. And what I found is there's some kind of email issue, some kind of email confirmation issue. And the good thing now here, I have this tag, and here I can just share this with Matthias, who I know is the person who could actually solve this issue. I don't need to discuss this issue in a meeting yet. It's not interesting. I don't need to include it in a report. I could, if I didn't have anything else to do, I would probably create a report out of it and make a presentation or whatever. But in this case, I just share this link with him and he can have a look at it. And the way it works with sharing is it's a very simple view that we also created here. You will see, like, that's what we're really trying to do. Make things so simple that you actually look at them and feel like, well, why is he hyping it so much? It's so simple. And that's it. It's so simple. It's so obvious, but it takes a lot of work to get there, as many of you will obviously know. But anyway, sorry. If you share a clip, there's 2 ways to do it. One is you can share it with an restricted access, or you can make it available to anyone. And that's something we learned the hard way actually in our consulting business. Like, you can do a brilliant job at analyzing your user test, and everything's wonderful. And you want to share your results. But if you want to share anything with someone who needs to create an account to actually look at the results, they're probably not going to do it too often, especially those people who are important. So there needs to be this access for anyone version of it. How it works, I'm going to show you now. So this is the page you see when you share a clip. And what you notice is, like, it was this 3.5-minute clip in a 15-minute video or so on. So we only sent this clip. And if you look at it, we try not to include, or we're not including any sensitive data. So no tester name, no age, no demographics or anything, because we want this to be shared with anyone. And if there's personal information about anyone, it might be a bit difficult to share. So this way, you don't need to worry about it too much. You don't need to care about it. You can just take the link, share it, especially in this case, it's internal link. So that's not going to be too much of an issue anyway, because you can see people also have the option to watch the entire video, because that's the idea. If you already have a team who is, interested in the user testing and interested in what you're doing there, and they're already invited to Userbrain, they have an account, you can send them this link. And through these clips that are pinpointing really important and very specific areas that are interesting to certain kind of people, that's how you get them in. So clips are your springboard into actually engaging with all the beautiful research that people out there are doing with Userbrain. So from here on, you can watch the entire video. What happens if you share the link with anyone? We remove the button below, so you can't access the entire video anymore. Again, there's no personal information. There's nothing that's kind of critical to share with anyone. You can just go ahead and share this with anyone who's needs to see it. So that's what we really tried to do here, and that's also the reason why the design is the way it is. That's why we don't include user avatars or whatever. Okay, so that was the tour now. The live, how do I call it? Live tour, whatever. And I hope I got, the most important things across. I decided to create a presentation like this, so it's easier to, go through it and try to speed things up a little bit. You will see those are screenshots that are directly taken from within the product. So that's exactly how it looks like. And there's been no marketing changes or whatever to make things look better than they actually are. So that's that. And now we have this poll online. And I suggest, Jonathan, if I'm correct, what we decided is that you would maybe moderate this part or just tell people about how the poll works, because again, I'm not seeing anything at the moment.
Sure, thank you. So I just published the poll. It should pop up on your screen. If it doesn't show up, and I might be wrong about this, but if you do see a poll button down at the bottom or on the side, click that. You should see it pop up. And it's asking the question, how do you rate clips? And we've set out 5 different answers here, and we'd love to get your honest reaction, just unfiltered. Those answers there being 5, I absolutely need clips myself. 4, I don't need clips, but I'll use them. 3, clips are a good idea, but not right for me. 2, I don't like clips. Or 1, clips make things worse for me. And if you're unable to vote in the poll, please just go ahead and go into the chat and just leave one of those numbers, whichever one best categorizes you and your current work situation. If you are able to click a number in that poll and let us know your feedback there. And if you have any other information regarding your answer, we'd love to see it as well in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you, Jonathan. So I'll mute my voice a little bit. People are focusing on the poll, so you're not getting too distracted there. So while you're filling out this poll, I just wanted to show this next slide because I stumbled upon it when creating this presentation, trying to find a picture of myself that I can include in the presentation. And then I saw this one, which is a while ago. You see me standing there in front of the camera, and being filmed, already kind of like promoting Userbrain, back then still with a different logo, but out there talking about it. And I just wanted to include this slide to say something that's obvious, I know, but still I thought like it's good to address it, because obviously you can ask us anything, but beware, we're here to sell. And it's just something that I became aware of, or that I'm aware of, is obviously, if you ask me about user testing, I'm so incredibly opinionated, it's not funny. So you have to take everything that I'm saying, and maybe the same is true for Jonathan as well already, but always with a little bit of grain of salt, because that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to sell our product. But the whole idea behind the product and the whole intention behind all of this is we're actually here to help. This is what motivates us to work on Userbrain. That was the whole idea in the beginning. And even back then with our consulting business, feeling, the overwhelming feeling is like this world is drowning in complexity, and everyone is kind of forced these days into the digital realm. Some people love it and enjoy it, and they will be probably not having so many issues with bad usability and so on, because they are really smart at those sorts of things and they can work it out. But there's many people who are just forced into this kind of world. And we believe very strongly that those people deserve to be, supported in a really good way. And the best way to achieve this is to help creators with a tool, with a solution that gets them closer to these people, and to actually observe real users and watch what they're doing. And obviously there's many people who are excited about this already, but what we really want to do is we want to make user testing accessible to anyone, because it has to be. If we want to improve things, user testing needs to be, the absolute minimum that everyone's doing. It's like, yeah, it might be dirty work sometimes, but it absolutely needs to be done. It's like cleaning your toilet, you should really do it. Okay, sorry. And that's the Q&A part now that we're starting. So what I'm going to do now is I stop the presentation here, and we just jump into Q&As and see what kind of questions you're asking or what you're interested in.
Just before that, Stefan, I just wanted to call out that we did get 2 votes with 5 that they absolutely need clips. And we got a vote for 3 clips that are good, but not right for me. Just wanted to call that out. And once again, I'll just say again for everyone who is joined live with us, if you have any questions, anything specific you'd like to discuss, please just go ahead and drop a chat message or a questions message in there, and we'd love to take it right now. Looks like we don't have any questions just yet, Stefan. I'm sorry, I can't hear you again.
Can you hear me now? I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Sorry, everyone, that's what I was so afraid of, all these technical issues, and yes, I was running instead. We were running. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
We don't have any questions just yet, Stefan, but we are waiting if someone would like to kick us off with one.
Perfect. And it's also, until someone finds the courage to ask a question or wants to ask something, it was really this realization that we did a very bad job at choosing a title for this webinar. So we're a very small group today. So obviously it's not 50 people here trying to ask questions. So if there's not a lot of question happening, we have prepared a few more slides about some ideas that we're interested in and excited about, and we could talk about those also just as a fallback. I'm just mentioning it so you don't need to be feel like you're on the spot now and have to ask a question. And maybe once we're doing it, you can just jump in and say something in regards to the ideas that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Maybe one question, Jonathan, do we already see the results of the poll? Can I see this somewhere, what people are?
Yes, if you click on the polls tab, and you should see an eye icon, that'll show you the results from the poll.
Oh. Okay. Perfect, thank you. So it's probably not going to, it's only a few people taking the poll, but it's 8 people in here right now. And I can also see that part of it is our team. So, and it's all right, if you're not really answering the poll, so we get better results, I think. And I suggest I just switch over to these few slides that I would still have to talk about, that things that we're interested in. And now, Jonathan, I don't see anything. I'm just looking at the presentation. So if anyone has a question, if anyone says something there, just interrupt me anytime.
Will do.
And I hope I don't lose my microphone again. Okay, so this is just an image I wanted to show because of the idea. Whenever you have a presentation somewhere, and I read this from Ryan Singer, and he's working at Basecamp, he's product designer there, product strategy person, and he said that, like, if you're doing a presentation, it's almost like you're being a DJ. You know, you come there with your records and you can play the kind of music to get the party going, and I find it kind of, you know, an inspiring way of thinking about it, and that's why I thought, you know, I just include a few slides and talk about a couple of ideas. And again, if anyone wants to chime in, just interrupt at any point and let me know. The first thing I wanted to show quickly is those 3 personas that we are using at Userbrain. And I don't know about the audience and the people listening how much, because obviously you're also going to record this and make it available to everyone afterwards in different channels. So I'm not aware, you know, how people, you know, how familiar you are with personas or everything. But what they are supposed to be is the simplest, most accessible manifestation of what we learned about our customers. Personas are like archetypes. They're archetypical behavior patterns that they are representing. For example, if we look at our 3 personas, we have this one that we call our primary persona. He's Brian Vargas. That's, you know, it's a name. Those people don't really exist. They should look and feel like they're actual human beings, but they're fictional. You know, they are archetypes that we invented based on the data that we found. And he has this archetype of the tinkerer, you know, and those are people like usually UX designers and people UI designers who are working really hands-on. And that's what we learned about them. You know, how they're using the product, how they use Userbrains. They mock up some idea, they build a prototype, run it through Userbrain, see if it works. If not, they fix it and they just do it again. And then there's different personas also representing different archetypes and behavior patterns here. It's just something I wanted to show quickly for anyone who's interested, like, how are we actually working here at Userbrain? What's the process? So those personas are based on years of research. We're doing continual research, obviously talking to customers, and they are I'm hesitant to say result of it because it's obviously something that keeps developing, but they are an outcome of this research, trying to inform us about who those people really are, what are their main goals, and what are their differences. Because in my mind, the most important thing is, if you want to make a successful product, don't think about the customer. You have to think about a very specific customer. That's the way you do it. But it's just something I thought I want to mention. Another thing is this process that we're having here, how we're getting from a sketch to an actual prototype that we can test with Userbrain or with any other tool for that matter. And the way it usually works is that based on these personas, you know, we come up with ideas, we can inform them with all the customer support data that we have and so on. We're trying to make some easy sketches of how things should look like, how they should feel like. And then pretty much the first step is just to write a text document, mocking up or basically showing what that would actually read like, because what we learned over the years, and we were very heavily involved also in, you know, designing websites and web applications and so on, is it's mostly words. It's all about communication, and whether the line is gray or blue or makes a difference. You know, those things are all important. But if you look at this written document here, which of something that's supposed to be, you know, an idea for a future report, an iteration of reports that we have in the future, where we have this summary tab where we show you, like, well, that's actually what the test was all about. Those were the most important insights, an overview of the testers. It's something you can just write down in words, and everyone can do that. You know, you don't need to be a designer to do that or have any specific skills at all, actually. And then that's something you can run through Userbrain. You can get some feedback on it, and you can keep iterating it and keep improving it. And I'd just like to show this because I'm curious also, you know, how you guys are doing this and how other people are working when it comes to, you know, getting an idea into some kind of shape and actually making it real, and on the way, hopefully test it as early and often as possible. That's one idea. And then based on this, I just picked this one project. It's something I was working on a year ago or something, where we had an idea about a YouTube series, a YouTube show where we're doing some user testing on there. And we didn't make a show or anything, but I was just writing a script for the show. Like in this case, the pilot episode, and it was called something like Test and Tweak Until Your Idea Works. And he shows the Wright brothers, and they were not only visionaries, they were creators. They had an idea and tested and tweaked it until it worked. That's how they invented the airplane. Then went on with James Dyson, the vacuum cleaner manufacturer, the guy who actually did that, built 5,000 prototypes and this and so on. So just a script of what a voice would be saying in a video, and then just tested the script with Userbrain. It's just a written document. But then in Userbrain, we can ask questions like, well, based on the script, do you feel like you get an idea of what this video is about? And then people can rate this, and there's different questions in there. Those might even be questions that the person who is very, let's say, knowledgeable and strict about usability testing, they might say, well, that's not the question you want to ask in a usability test. And I'd say, yeah, absolutely. That's, because that's not, you don't want to ask people how they feel, or, those sorts of things. You want to observe their behavior in a usability test. But Userbrain is not about usability testing only. It's much broader than this. You can use it for all sorts of things. We've actually used it for internal feedback rounds, where after our last company event, we send out this Userbrain link where people like Jonathan, for example, could make a Userbrain recording of themselves answering these sorts of questions. And we could then look at their spontaneous feedback and see, what we might improve in the future. Or we also used it for, finding candidates for a job, for a development job or UX intern and so on. So we create a test and we send it to candidates just to get down from a list of, let's say, 20, 30 potential candidates to 2 or 3 people that we actually want to talk with. And so there's no real limit to how you can use Userbrain if you are, if you're inventive. Most people are not really, inventors, because that's not their job. They're doing different things. So I'm just showing this, kind of just to give an idea, and maybe you probably have much better ideas for what you could do with Userbrain, how you could use it. We, for example, also using it to test our pricing page. Like, this is a very simple prototype. It's a pricing page. There's not a lot around it, and testing this, sending it to Userbrain customers and just asking them, what do you think about the pricing? And we don't need to change the pricing already. It actually turns out that there are a few flaws in this pricing table that we wouldn't want to be implemented. So it can save us a lot of trouble. But what we can do is we can just send it out either to people in our Userbrain pool or to our customers, because that's part of what Userbrain offers. With every subscription, you get 100 of your own testers every month, which basically is unlimited. We wanted it to be like this. So even if you go with a very small starter plan, which is not on this pricing plan, what you will see on the current pricing page, the smallest plan already includes all the features, and you can test with your own customers and get feedback on things like pricing before you change anything about this. Which actually reminds you that I will send you a link when I'm done with this, where you can start your free trial. So you just have to click a button, and just for convenience, because if you're interested in it, just go to userbrain.com and you can start your free trial there. And what you get is you have 2 weeks, so 14 days, where you can use all the features included in Userbrain, and you get 2 Userbrain testers for free. And they are included, and you can test with, I think, 5 of your own testers also. So you get a bit of a feeling of how it works. You can try out clips, you can try out DI notes, you can have a look at the report and see how it all works. So that's that. And then I just wanted to quickly talk about this, bit of a vision for Userbrain. It should be like your Spotify for user testing. And I'm thinking about it, just really, if you think about people at work and having the headphones on and jump on Spotify, listening to music, and it's just something in the background. And that's how I feel user testing should really work. It should be something in the background. Because at first I actually thought, well, maybe we're more like trying to be Netflix for user testing, or Netflix for your product, Netflix for your website, where people would actually hang out and watch videos of their website and do it like this. And well, some people might be doing that. I'm actually, doing that. But I think it should even be simpler than that, more subliminal, where it's so easy, like with the clips, for example, that you're sharing with your people, that everyone just starts using it. You just start almost like indoctrinating yourself with insights, with things you learn in these tests, and seeing is believing when it comes to user testing. So the more people get involved and actually see for themselves what's happening, it's going to have a huge impact. And yeah, so this idea of your Spotify for user testing, where really just everyone working in a digital product world has a Userbrain account. That, that's the vision. That's what we want to have. That's what we want to do. Obviously, what we want to have, for multiple reasons. But yeah, it's just an idea. And the last image I wanted to show you is this here, because that's always kind of been the vision for how Userbrain works. Because we're very big believers in, well, everyone can make things, complicated, and you can make complex applications that do all sorts of things. But the issue with that is the more complexity there is, the less people are able to use it. And we try to make user testing as accessible as possible so everyone can use it, which I mentioned before. So we want it to be as simple as pushing a button. That's how it should work. And, when you check out the tool, you will see we're really trying to make things as straightforward as possible, as easy as possible. And the vision is like, in the future, you probably just hit the button and the thing creates the test for you, because we have some AI in the tool, also some AI assistant that helps you, analyzing tests. We're working on ideas for how this assistant can also help you creating your tests based on what you actually want to find out. They can create, the reports for you. We can create the clips for you, maybe even send them already to the correct people or to the right people. So it's like the possibilities are limitless. We're probably going to work on this, I don't even know for how long, for the rest of our lives. I don't know. World's changing so quickly, so you never really know. But there's no limit to how simple and how easy you can make user testing, because again, user testing is so important, so effective, and the solutions out there, and also our solution, that is still too complex. It needs to be easier so people can actually get involved in it. And then at one point, we talked about this, Andy mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, maybe in the future, it's going to be very seductive for there to just be a button that you press and you get your insights. And it's not even you who's getting the insights, it's actually an AI getting the insights from your user test. And the AI is already kind of building your website and your product, and it's changing it and it's designing stuff. And then there's this continuous loop. And the interesting thing about this is, like, I can absolutely imagine this. I have no idea if that's something that's happening in 5 years from now or 20 years from now. I really don't, I'm not qualified to even have a guess about it, actually. But I think that's a very valid vision for how things might work. So just push a button and the AI is doing everything in the background. But the interesting observation about it is, well, but the actual user, which is what we're providing with Userbrain, where you get the real user to still interact with it and give you feedback, it's going to be the last thing to go. Because once the user goes, once the real people, leave this whole realm completely, I don't even know. I don't even know what's happening there. Then, so that's a good bit about this whole business and the whole, Userbrain idea. And that's why I think we're so excited about it, because it's not just some kind of tool we build and now we're stuck with it. Well, we have this user testing tool. Let's do the best. Let's make the best out of it, whatever. It's something that's actually really exciting and interesting when you think about it. Yes, and that was that. There were no interruptions. Was I just talking too fast and didn't give anyone a chance to interrupt me?
And I'll take the moment then to Stefan to jump in. We did get a good question here in the chat. It's basically two different questions. Maybe I'll voice them off to you and get your feedback on them. And thank you so much, Rachel, for putting this in the chat. The first one is regarding clips. When setting anyone to access permissions for clips, it'd be helpful to add password protection to avoid unauthorized people getting access to our clips if they guess the URL strings. Maybe you have some response to that, or maybe if you'd like us to get more information on that. What's your thoughts on that, Stefan?
I love it. So either, Rachel, you've already sent us a message somewhere where you mentioned this, or it was someone else having the same issue, but I can completely understand at the moment, the way it is there is no password protection, which is something, it was the first version that we got out the door. But once I saw the message last week, it was already like on top of our betting table where we have, the next things we're going to work on. And it's certainly something we're gonna add to clips very quickly, because that's equally important as getting things to everyone, that you're also able to add this layer of protection if a link, either someone's guessing it or maybe even someone is sending it to a wrong person. So avoid that, and at least there's still a password protecting it. So yeah.
Awesome, thanks. Second question in there in that first message is not specific to clips, but more to account permissions per se. Rachel says, it'd be great if we could set up read-only Userbrain accounts for stakeholders to access our videos without being able to create, edit, delete, etc. the tests.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's also a fantastic addition, because that's actually something we were thinking about for a very long time, to just include a role that we call viewer, where people, they have an account, they get in there, but they have very specific rights. And one of those rights would be, well, they can't really edit anything. And there might also be a part, well, they can't really see all your tests. They might be just seeing, a certain kind of tests, but at least not being able to change anything. And that's also actually on the betting table already for something that we want to work on quickly, because what we're noticing here at Userbrain is really the tool's working pretty well, and we get good feedback from people saying, well, it's actually getting the job done. Who would have thought that, such a simple tool could already, replace this big suite that we were using prior to it. And so it seems to have a good balance of features already. And it's time for us now to move into those more, in those corners that really need fixing. And the viewer role is something that that we're talking about for a year already or something, and just wasn't quite important enough, because we thought like clips really needed to be out there before it. And that's done now. So adding these, or actually working on the roles in general, is one of the next things we're about to do.
awesome, great to hear, and great question, Rachel. Thanks for bringing that up again for us. I do believe that is the end of the questions list. If anyone does have another, or if you have a follow-up question in there, Rachel, feel free to just post it in as well. And anyone else, yes, I did see some K is typing, R is typing, so feel free to just jump in and leave your question there.
Yes. And I just wanted to say quickly, well, thank you, Jonathan, for everything. It was really, really brilliant. I thought, how you were leading through the whole webinar, taking us through. And especially for me, the first time being in such an event, because, we treated webinars as marketing, like marketing efforts, something we need to do. And I think an insight for us was also that it's really, if we are so passionate about our product and believe in it so much, well, we should actually jump on those webinars too and be part of it. So I think it was the first in a row of webinars that we're going to do, and other, well, initiatives that we want to take in the future to, see how you're doing with all of this, getting your insights into user testing, product development, however you're calling it in your version of of this job, or whatever you want to call it, and just get closer to each other. And also, like with Jonathan working in customer success, it's just so exciting for me as a product nerd, to have someone who's actually interacting with people, getting real feedback from them, and being able to be so close to all of you. So yeah, thank you all very much for listening, joining.
Thank you, Stefan, for leading us through it. I'm going to go ahead and post a message in the chat box now. If anyone is interested in reaching out to us, please feel free to do so. You already know our support pipeline that you can email us, support@Userbrain, or if you'd like to email me directly for any account-related assistance or help, whether it be with these functions or features, there's our email for our success@Userbrain, or my personal Userbrain email address, jonathan@userbrain.com. If there's any questions regarding your account, how to actually use this, or if in the next couple of days something comes to mind, oh, I should have asked this about clips, or I should have mentioned this, feel free to just drop us an email. We are more than happy to answer them. And we can also schedule a follow-up meeting with either myself or someone else on our team to actually go through this on 101 if you'd like. So yeah, that's also open and on the table, just in case that's needed or wanted. We're happy to do so. And once again, I'm going to pop up the message about starting your free trial. So you should see a little pop-up box on your screen now about starting the free trial, and the link if you'd like to get started, have a quick look at Userbrain, what it is to launch a test and to create and launch one and get those insights back. You do get 2 free Userbrain tester inside that free trial. So please feel free to just jump in there and click on that.
Awesome. What do you think, Jonathan? You happy?
Yeah, happy.
I think it's good for first time. I just hope I didn't lose my train of thought too often and the sentences are actually making sense until the end of it. So we might use short clips somewhere and might be able to do something with that. But it was fun, especially the preparing and then seeing a few people showing up also. And yeah, like Jonathan said, if you have any questions, and even if they come to you like in a couple of weeks or something, just reach out anytime. And we're really, really interested in learning more about you and how you're using user testing or Userbrain, not just the method, but the tool, or how you're actually working in product development and what we can learn there. And yeah, excited to be in touch.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you to Stefan. If you think now is a good time, we can go ahead and end the event.
I think so.
All right. See everyone through email. Take care.
Bye-bye.